In this session, I am going to elucidate, the myths that needs to be, identified and answered. Because many people, what they think is like once they clear these basic certification exams that are being offered by these American organizations like AHIMA and AAPC, they think that they can walk through this entire aspects of medical coding. That's actually a myth that needs to be busted. What happens is now you are entering into an arena of medical coding, which is an ocean of oceans. It is equated with medicine because the landscape of medicine constantly changes and it is improving, so does medical coding. Many medical billers reached out to me and they asked me, can I start coding once I take this entry level training? I just want to exhort them and suggest them that this is not highly possible because though these medical billers are being exposed to one aspect of coding, say for example, if they are working for a dermatology providers, they might know the procedures and the CPT codes that a dermatologist that often uses, but still they don't know the grammar or the technical aspect of the coding. Because what is there is a dermatologist does a procedure and we have so many codes for that particular procedure. Take for instance, if there is a biopsy, we have a shave biopsy, we have an incisional biopsy, we have a punch biopsy, and the code sets are going to differ according to these types of procedures. But to this medical biller, he only knows what a 0002, a 0003, or a 0004, or a 0005, etc. is all about, but he doesn't know how to select these codes based on this medical records. So what I just want to exhort is, first, you need to understand what this medical coding is all about. And for that, you need to understand the language of medicine. Because once you enter this arena of medical coding, you will now have to become a medical language specialist. You need to become a language specialist in the sense you need to know these medical terminologies, the prefixes, the suffixes, the root words, the Greek words, and the anatomical nomenclature, the pathological conditions. At least, even if you are not able to explain it, you should be in a position to at least understand what it is. Okay. So what you need to do is like first, whether you are a medical biller or a payment poster or an AR caller or a person who's working with claims adjudication or if you are with underwriting, so you need to undergo the basic or the entry level training with medical coding, and then you can appear for this examination, these certifying examinations. Again, even if you just become a certified coder, whether you are a fresher and you undergo this entry level training and then you take up the CPC exam, still I tell you, you are not really prepared to do this practical coding. Because what happens is each company has different clients, different specialties, and they have their own client requirements as well. Because the rule in one particular state may not be the same in the other state in America. So what happens is, first you should be very strong with these general coding guidelines, and then we need to understand the company's or the process specific requirements. So once you work in a company, in the sense once you are being recruited and selected in a company, you will be then subjected to a particular training, which is an on-the-job training. This on-the-job training can go in multiple phases, like it can go for multiple rounds in the sense like multiple months. So 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, depending on the company. If the company is going to hire or recruit coders in hundreds or in bunches, what happens is then they might be providing you or imparting the training in various months. There are companies, the training would run for 3 months. So every day you might be kept on an assessment, you will be taught new things like talking about the various healthcare aspects, the legal aspects like HIPAA, the information technology, the medical billing aspects, the medical coding rules, or the particular state's considerations, all that will be taught, and then you will be given this assessment, and based on your performance, you might be again reconsidered whether you'll have to be in the company or should you undergo the other type of training. So then what happens is you are just being posted in a particular team, then into the team, the client specific training will be imparted to you. So there you might find that certain aspects of the general coding might be there might be some deviations. Okay, it can be a little deviation from this original general coding guidelines because that is what your pay requirements or your state requirements are. So after that, what happens is, so you underwent this entry level training, then your on the job companies training, and then comes the CPC training. This CPC training also, will have to be undertaken by the coders because what happens is you might be working only in a particular specialty, whereas the CPC or this basic certifications training, actually you will be exposed to all the other specialties. You might work as a radiology coder, but you may not know how this pathology coding is all about or general surgery coding is all about. So for that, you need to undergo a special training. So this is either given by the companies or you can, look out for such training like a Dr. Ram's Academy or any other institutes as well. Then what happens is, so once you clear all these training and along with your experience working in particular specialty, try seeing if you can, cross learn in the sense like if you are with radiology, check out for possibilities or avenues of improvement where you can try and start learning this general surgery coding. See, with coding, I tell you like, we have multiple specialties like an EM coding, a radiology coding, or general surgery coding, or a pathology coding, anesthesia coding. It goes on. The list goes on. ED coders, it goes on. So one coder cannot do all of the activities. So you need to gain experience. Some coders might say, I'm a multi-specialty coder. At least to be a multi-specialty coder, you need at least 6 years of experience, provided you have worked in all those coding specialties. So please understand that there are constant room for improvement, especially with coding, and we'll have to educate ourselves because the guidelines are changing, the regulations are changing. So recently we have all these COVID guidelines, and you will not believe like each pair has its own guideline, and there were like documentation deficiencies and pair requirements were constantly changing during this COVID times. So we really need to be aware of whether what kind of telehealth services will be reimbursed or what should be the place of services. Should we update with the POS 11 or should we go with the POS as 02, which is for telehealth? So such things constantly take place in our industry, and that's why we say like training is an inevitable aspect with this medical coding industry. So as long as we are running and educating ourselves and getting things known, we will stay competitive in this race, and in the end we can be of helpful to our healthcare providers because the ultimate mission is to get the reimbursement for the services that the healthcare providers render. So please get this entry-level training from reputed institutes like Dr. Ram's Medical Coding Academy. Then you can go for this, on-the-job training that is being offered by the companies. Then take up the CPG training or this basic certifications training from any approved organizations. And later on, you can take up these auditing credentials or the specialty credentials in each of the specialties that you are working. So in the journey of working as a medical coder, in your day-to-day life, you will have to face new services because we have this category 3 codes. For example, say these vaccines, especially for COVID, like we have the Sputnik vaccine from Russia, the Covaxin from the Serum Institute of Technology in India. So there is again a China vaccine or a Brazilian vaccine or an American vaccine or Pfizer Institute. So tomorrow we will be having the codes for all those vaccines as well. So maybe they might be there in this category 3 section of the CPT code, and tomorrow they can be found in the category 1. So there is always a continuous scope for improvement and change in this medical coding industry. So training is an inevitable aspect of this medical coding industry. Unfortunately, this sector has been ignored by various medical billing companies, who just think as the mechanical way of assigning codes, and they think that training is something as not that important as it is. But training always finds a best and so how to be a successful medical coder is first learn the basic coding guidelines, then the specialty specific coding guidelines, then your client specific guidelines, and then move ahead so that you learn this US healthcare regulations and the legal regulations. so that you become a successful coders. It's not just with this coders, because tomorrow this journey as a medical coder can take you to heights, so you grow up in an organization, you will have client visits, and you will have to talk to your clients, take these sessions on compliance and auditing on what your specialty is, because there is always a room for improvement, and your client asks something, he expects something. See, everywhere there are so many medical billing companies, but how to impress your clients is just by one thing: with your quality of work, with your knowledge, your understanding, your depth of understanding and comprehension of that particular specialty, the areas of your experience, and finally, it is with compliance. So learn these basic medical coding subjects like anatomy, physiology, pathology, and of course the pathogenesis. Because when you have to find time, please go through this pathogenesis, because this is something that is medicine, practice of medicine, and commonly doctors and nurses would study there in their final year as special subject as a medicine. But this opportunity is being deprived of for people who don't come from this clinical or from the paramedical science background. Okay, so my final advice would be that just learn this with an open mind. Don't just have the stereotype mindset that I've learned this entry level, now I'll be a successful coder, tomorrow I can advise my doctor. No, it doesn't. It is not. There's a saying like Rome was not built in a day. Same way, you can't learn everything overnight. Okay, so with this suggestion, I'd like just to end my session, and stay tuned for my next session, which would be about this medical transcription and various other things. Also, if you want to know about these sessions in Tamil, so we will also be releasing that as well. And to your astonishment and happiness, we also like to let you know that we are also going to launch our Hindi channel exclusively, where there will be videos and on medical coding. So if you find any of your friends who want to know about medical coding, or especially if you have any friends in North India or in the West India or any other parts of India, and if they really like to understand in Hindi, then you can please ask them to subscribe to our channel. So the links and the details will be provided underneath. Thank you very much, and see you in your next video. Take care.
You can contact us at 805 60 855 96 9962 79 1072.